Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a sci-fi thriller movie called Doors. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens as a man in his underwear walks into a forest, appearing disoriented. At the same time, we hear a 911 call in which a woman reports that her husband has wandered into the forest and gone missing. Another call comes in, and someone explains that they are trapped in their room and unable to leave. A third call comes in from someone who says that they saw several people standing completely still in front of the door. The scene then shifts to a classroom where a teacher named Mr. Johnson is getting ready to conduct the SAT exams for a group of students. The group includes girls Lizzie, Ash, Rory, and a guy named Jake. Mr. Johnson then collects everyone's phones and locks them in a cabinet to make sure no one's cheating. As soon as the exam begins, Jake throws a piece of paper meant for Lizzie, but it mistakenly lands on Ash's desk. She picks it up and realizes that Jake is inviting Lizzie to make out afterward. When Johnson notices the disruption, he urges the students to focus on their papers. Shortly after, the phones locked in the cabinet start ringing constantly, causing a distraction in the exam hall. Johnson also receives a call, and when he answers it, he's visibly distressed by what he hears. He then asks Rory to keep an eye on the other students before abruptly exiting the room. Some time passes, but the teacher still doesn't return. The phones in the cabinet also continue to ring, which worries the students. When Jake can't take it any longer, he gets up and tries to open the cabinet, while Rory asks him to stop. At this moment, everyone hears an announcement over the speaker, instructing the kids to lock themselves in the classroom and not go anywhere. The announcer appears nervous and is shaking, sending everyone into a state of panic. Since when do students listen to anything? The students then turn on the radio to find out what's going on outside. They hear several distressing news reports revealing that something has landed on Earth and the military is trying to figure it out. Moments later, they hear gunshots from outside, and suddenly a dead bird crashes against the classroom window. Terrified, the group breaks open the cabinet and finally retrieves their phones. They then notice numerous missed calls and texts from their families. During this time, Ash begins to experience strange hallucinations and leaves the classroom, followed by her friends. They are shocked to find the hallway empty, with no teachers or students in sight. The group then comes across a strange door that blocks the entire hallway. When they throw some objects at it, the door immediately sucks them inside. Everyone is terrified by this, but Ash grows curious and suggests that they should try it to see where it leads. Her words freak the others out, and they immediately leave from there. Regardless, Ash continues to stare at the mysterious door and becomes mesmerized. She is about to enter when Lizzie suddenly appears and pulls her away. However, Ash misinterprets her intentions and begins to kiss Lizzie, which is noticed by Jake. He becomes furious at her for touching his girlfriend, leading to a heated argument between them. During the confrontation, Ash accidentally pushes Jake towards the door, sucking him in, along with Rory, who is nearby. This makes her feel guilty, so she ends up entering the portal herself, leaving only Lizzie behind in the hallway. Next, we see some shots of the city, which is now completely deserted after millions of people have gone missing. A news reporter reveals that while many people have disappeared, some have miraculously managed to return from the door. Scientists are trying to figure out what's going on, so they have developed Project Knockers. A funny name. It turns out that they deliberately sent volunteers to the mysterious door who will report back on their experiences when they return. In the next scene, we meet 3 such volunteers, a couple named Vince and Becky, along with their friend, Patrick. They are instructed that they can only stay behind the door for 12 minutes, since if they stay longer, the door might take control of them. The scientists punch that into their calculator. The trio soon arrives at a house wearing a spacesuit, where they encounter the mysterious door. As they get closer, each of them hears strange, unsettling sounds coming from within. Once inside, they find themselves in a large house with 3 doors arranged in a spherical pattern. Becky suggests they split up to explore the different rooms and gather as much information as possible. Later, we see Patrick exploring the strange place and reporting his findings to his superiors. He soon hears the sound of someone crying in the distance and follows it. Shortly after, he reaches a room where he notices a woman lying in bed, surrounded by an abundance of flowers. Patrick updates his superiors about the discovery and asks for the woman's name. She responds that her name is Rose and scolds him for forgetting her so quickly. This leaves Patrick bewildered, as he has never seen this woman before in his life. Meanwhile, Becky finds herself in a white kitchen with all the utensils arranged in weird positions. She then then notices an empty cradle that is moving by itself. She stops it, and moments later, sees the shadow of a person cast on the door. Meanwhile, Vince enters the third door and informs his team that the room is elegantly furnished. He notices a clock on the wall with the time 3 o'clock, as well as a statue. Moving to another room, he finds a clock displaying 6 o'clock, and the same statue but with a different expression. He then moves on and comes across, another clock showing 9 o'clock, and the same statue with square-shaped eyes. Returning to Patrick, he tries to communicate with this strange woman, but she suddenly experiences a seizure and begs for his help. Patrick rushes to assist her, but she soon begins laughing, revealing it was all an act. She then pleads with him not to leave her again, and although confused, Patrick reluctantly agrees. With only 5 minutes remaining, Patrick's helmet suddenly starts filling with flowers, while the woman watches in amusement. As the petals overwhelm him, Patrick struggles to breathe and eventually ends up passing away. Meanwhile, Becky experiences a hallucination in which she is with her boyfriend Vince and is pregnant. This vision makes her very emotional because it turns out that she has lost her child in reality. The illusionary Vince tries to convince her that this is her true reality, but Becky refuses to believe it and shoots him with a phaser gun. Elsewhere, Vince is trying to escape when he stumbles in another room where he meets 2 other versions of himself. The 3 of them then get into an argument about which of them is the real Vince. In a sinister twist, the 2 fake versions somehow change his spacesuit clothes, making him indistinguishable from them. Shortly after, Becky arrives at the same room and is confused by the sight of multiple Vinces. Each one tries to convince her that he is the real Vince. An annoyed Becky quickly shoots one of them, noticing he's wearing winter clothes in the middle of summer. However, she is still unsure about the other 2, so she questions them about their lives and relationships. She eventually manages to identify the real Vince, but then something takes control of her and she ends up shooting him. This overwhelms her with guilt and she decides to take her own life as well. In the next scene, we meet a scientist named Jamal Adkins who is listening to a radio in the morning. The news report states that half of the world's population has already gone missing due to the door. We also learn that Project Knockers has failed miserably, with almost all of the volunteers failing to make it back. As a result, the public is advised to immediately call the police and report any sightings of the door. After this, Jamal turns off the radio and heads to a nearby forest. He soon arrives at one of the mysterious doors and sets up his equipment to establish communication with it. After several attempts, the door finally replies, which shocks the man. The door seems to know everything about the scientist, including his name and his social security number and his dick length. Jamal then begins asking the door various questions, and it responds in a friendly manner, even calling him buddy. Curious, Jamal asks where the door came from and what it wants. It reveals that it comes from an advanced civilization and is here to observe humanity and archive its existence.
What made you choose to look like doors?
This movie is on a budget.
Sometime later, Jamal invites his scientist friend Kathy to his house, and she arrives with her young boyfriend Leo. Jamal is skeptical of Leo.
I didn't invite him.
But he eventually chooses to trust Kathy's judgment. He informs them that he has found a door in the woods. Both are shocked to hear this, and Leo suggests that they should report it, but Jamal clarifies that not all doors are bad. He explains that he has successfully communicated with it, and it seems very cooperative and friendly.
Said it licks my dick?
Following this, they proceed to the forest, where Jamal shows them the door. He sets up his equipment again and demonstrates how he communicates with it. He introduces Kathy and Leo to the door, which greets them in a friendly manner. Kathy is ecstatic as she realizes this is revolutionary and has the potential to change everything. However, Leo remains skeptical, so he steps away for a moment to call someone and report what he has discovered. Meanwhile, Kathy continues to converse with the door and asks for its name. The door responds that its name is Lamage, which is actually Jamal, spelled backward. Clever. The door decides to call Kathy Amamixes. Kathy then asks why it is here, and Lamage explains that it is here to study humans and to archive their existence. Hearing this, Kathy becomes very excited and feels that she can uncover the secrets of the entire universe through Lamage. She tells Jamal that they can finally become the cosmic explorers they've always dreamed of. However, to their dismay, a cop named Ricky arrives who turns out to be Leo's friend. He immediately points a gun at Kathy and orders her to step back from the door door as it could be dangerous. After that, he arrests Jamal for engaging with the door instead of reporting it, which is against the law, I guess. When Ricky asks for his name, the door responds on his behalf, revealing that he is Jamal. This shocks the cop as he has never encountered a talking door before. Before Ricky can process this, Kathy strikes him with a branch, causing him to accidentally shoot Leo to death. Horrified, the cop points his gun at Jamal.
I've already screwed up. I may as well tap my racist urge.
And tries to shoot him. So the scientist asks Lamage for help. In response, the door somehow hypnotizes the cop, causing him to shoot himself to death. Both Kathy and Jamal are devastated by the turn of events, but also feel relieved to be safe. The door then calls them friends and reveals that it's time for them to be refreshed. At this moment, they notice many celestial objects appearing, falling from the sky, and become excited. In the next scene, we see a streamer named Midnight Martin in a video meeting with a parallel world expert called Dr. Alan Price. Throughout the introduction, Alan appears too weird, as if he's being controlled by something. Martin asks him about the doors, what they want, and what will happen next. Alan responds that the arrival of the doors has changed everything, and the humans are now cosmically evolving. He emphasizes that humanity is entering a new era as they learn to live in a changed world. Regardless, Martin remains skeptical of the doors and their purpose. He asks the expert if they should prepare to fight against the doors for their survival, but Alan responds that there is nothing they can do to stop them, as the doors are the ones who decide and control everything. Hearing this, Martin feels uncomfortable and asks how they should deal with the situation. Alan asserts that all they can do is wait to be refreshed, but Martin laughs at the idea of comparing humans to a web browser. During their conversation, the lights start to flicker, and there's a brief network outage. When it resumes, Martin wonders if the people who came back from the door are altered, but Alan replies that he already knows the answer. He then calls the streamer by his real name, Paul, which no one else is aware of. Hearing this, a shocked Martin wonders how Alan knows this, but the latter tells him to accept the door, promising that all his fears and insecurities will be erased and refreshed. After that, Martin tries to say something, but Alan predicts what he is going to say each time, leaving him even more confused. In the final scene, something suddenly takes control of Martin, causing him to begin screaming in pain. Meanwhile, Alan observes everything with a weird smile and urges the streamer to accept the door. After a series of frantic screams and bizarre movements, Martin tears off his clothes. He then suddenly becomes silent and calmly heads upstairs. The movie comes to an end as the broadcast goes off, and Alan greets him with welcome. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.